Hey everybody, it's me, Jake, from Jake and Off, here again with another episode of this podcast. This week I am joined by nobody. That's right, no guests this week. Throwback time. Ooh, 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 ooh. It's just me. uh, I did a poor job planning. That's on me. That's on me, everybody. But also, you know what? I can do it. I can do a podcast by myself every so often. It's gonna be much of the same. I got some dates coming up that I did want to mention up top. Next Tuesday, November 7th, I'm going to be headlining at Hillsiders in Kansas City, Kansas. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great time. So make sure you come out to that, 8 p.m., Hillsiders in KCK. The next night, I'm going to be at the Ship in Kansas City on the Missouri side, just over in the West Bottoms. Very cool place, the Ship. Very fun atmosphere at the Ship in Kansas City. I'll be doing a comedy show there. Got a gentleman from out of town headlining. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'm such a piece of shit. But I know that I really love that place and that I'm really looking forward to it. And you can get tickets to that. I'll put the link in the description of this podcast. Other than that, guys, you know me. Just been sad about the Chiefs losing all day. Yep, Chiefs lost for the first time in 16 games to the Denver Broncos. It's been a minute, man. And it's kind of crazy. That's a lot of times to beat the same team in a row. Honestly, Patrick Mahomes had the flu. Sad. It's sad. Whatever. It's not looking good. We have no wide receivers on our team. It's crazy. We have like nobody that can actually, and it's not that I think that we have like bad players. I think Rashee Rice is pretty good. I think that he still has like a ways to go, but he's a rookie, of course. Sky Moore, not looking great. Sky Moore is not looking like a very good pick so far. I could be wrong, I'm not an expert at all. That's the other thing that I hate about, because I love football so much. I love it. I watch it a lot. I played the sport growing up. And I'm really into it, but I mean, of course, like I hate the dudes who talk about sports as if they could go out and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like they could strap up and like it's easy. It's not easy, They're playing, like, the Denver Broncos are a professional football team. Like it's I feel like so I just feel like it's so corny when analysts who have never played the game at that level are so willing to sort of like talk as if they fucking, could go out there and do it or whatever, like talk all this shit on these guys and how bad they are at football or something. Like, obviously everybody who's playing in the NFL is like one of the best football players. I mean, statistically speaking, just making it to the NFL, like getting drafted in the first round, of the NFL draft makes you like one of the best football players of all time, just in the scope of like all of humanity, like percentage wise. There's always that shit they talk around like about like, the amount of high school athletes that make it into athletics in college is like that is like a tiny percentage of athletes. And then the athletes that make it from there to the professional level is an even more insane, like, small percentage of the population. But they're usually just talking about the United States of America. I think that, like, if you look at it in terms of like everyone to ever exist, I guess you'd have to narrow it down to everyone to ever exist while football has also existed. And even then, it's just like such an insanely small amount of people make it to the NFL. So it's like I fucking, obviously, like if you get drafted to the NFL, you're like one of the best football players of all time. In my opinion, that's the argument that I'm making. I don't want it to seem like I think these guys are like fucking worthless or something, because they're good at football. They're just not playing very good. So, and that's sports. That's sports with Jake right there. I think it comes with the territory, right? Like that's got to be sort of like the deal is you become a professional athlete, you get paid all this money to play football, and it's really cool, and like, like obviously you're putting your body on the line all the time, but part of the deal is that like a bunch of fucking doughy old men get to talk shit about you. It's kind of a shitty trade-off in some regards. Like that does not sound cool. Like I would just make me so mad if I was, if I was just like some like jacked NFL player, and then like Bill Simmons or whatever. He's just like this short little pear-shaped guy. Is like, well, you can't fucking, he can't pass. I would be like, shut the fuck up, dude. I'll fucking crush you. I'll crush you, Bill Simmons. I'll smash you. I can't believe that more athletes don't punch reporters. I think that like, and what I mean by that is not that they should punch reporters, but I just feel like, it hasn't happened as often as you would think it's happened in those environments. All those guys are pissed off all the time. They're punching everybody. They can't stop punching people that aren't reporters. So it's like, it's so funny to me that like the people who are like the most critical of them and, in some ways can treat them the worst, or at least be the face of like criticism, they're the ones actually saying it, I guess. So, but they never get hit. Well, that's it. That's the sports segment, guys. Pretty good. Pretty sweet. I saw this, so this, I guess, is kind of somewhat sports related because of Taylor Swift. And, I saw this absolutely unhinged review that this guy wrote for the National Review. National Review is like a conservative. It's a conservative joint. It's a pretty conservative magazine publication. Whatever the fuck. I think it was a magazine, and now it's much like anything is like primarily online. But the title of the this is so insane to me. The title of the review is Taylor Swift's Asylum Seekers. And so this is a review of Taylor Swift's concert that they made it into a movie, and I'm sure you've seen. You don't need me to fucking explain Taylor Swift to you. People love her. They're all over it. They're stoked. She's got a huge fan base. There's, girls all over the place dancing in the movie theaters and stuff. And, who are we? Who are we to judge? I've never really listened to that much Taylor Swift. Actually, fun fact about me, the first concert I ever went to as a kid, George Strait. My mom, huge George Strait fan. Shout out to George Strait. That's so that's funny. And then Ronnie Millsap was like the middle act, and then opening was Taylor Swift, like teenage Taylor Swift, Teardrops on My Guitar ass shit. And so That was at the Sprint Center in Kansas City. And I think she was even like at her own merch booth, like sold the CD to my mom or something. So little, kind of we go way back. So but it's, she's huge. It's like massive. There's very few people in history that have been as famous as Taylor Swift is right now. There's like a few, like Beyonce, also very famous. And it's like funny because the people who if you ask me who I thought were the most famous people, I would say like athletes or something. But it's so not the case, like the audiences that people like Beyonce and Taylor Swift have dwarf like maybe not LeBron James. LeBron James is pretty up there, and basketball is like huge internationally. But like Travis Kelce, I mean, it's not even close. He's not even close to the, but to me, I'm like, that guy's so famous. It really is in the eye of the beholder. Anyways, this dude wrote this fucking psychotic review of the Taylor Swift concert movie. And here's what I'll say, as my cat's feeder goes off in the background. Love that little baby. Oh, he's not even getting up to get it. That's self-control. We're trying to get healthy around here. No, what's so funny to me is like, I'm not, again, I don't know much of Taylor Swift's music. It's incredibly popular. A lot of people love it. But this guy is literally saying, the opening line of the review is, a movie concert promotes post-Madonna, post-Obama mind control. It's like, all right, dude. I think that this is insane, but you got me. You got me hooked right there. Easy. I'm going to read this whole article, of course. And I mean, it is. It's just insane. The guy who wrote it, his name is Armand White, and he starts off, he says, Taylor Swift's invasion of the movie box office charts is another step in the banalization of moviegoing. Her 3-hour concert film, Taylor Swift: The Eras Tour, is not a cultural advance like Richard Lester's 1964 film, A Hard Day's Night, which gave aesthetic validation to Beatlemania. It's the opposite. A demonstration of our era's lost aesthetic standards and submission to mob madness, analogous to what's occurred with politicized regime media. Fans' artistic immaturity is being exploited as surely as illegal border crossers are labeled asylum seekers. Swifties seek asylum from their emotional insecurities in her hideously samey, self-absorbed songs. Fucking wild. Dude, this guy is basically comparing like Taylor Swift's concert movie to the border dispute in this country regarding asylum seekers and all that. I mean, what the fuck? It's insane, dude. It's wild. I can't believe it. He says the Eras Tour is the most calamitous movie event since Barbie. Which makes me laugh because it's like, obviously this guy is being a little tongue-in-cheek because Barbie came out so recently. But I think that like if you are in the mindset that's the same as this dude and what he's saying, then you probably do feel like every new movie that comes out is like a crisis. It's like a cultural crisis. You know what I mean? Like there's no movie that comes out that you like. because it doesn't do anything to affirm whatever it is that you believe movies should do. I don't know, it's so insane. It's like, why even go? Why even go? This guy clearly, though, had his mind made up uh before he went into the movie. You know? That really is true. And he is saying it's like post Madonna, post Obama mind control. It's in that mode. The Taylor Swift industry would like us to believe that the world is not crumbling and that Swift's prominence comes from her being a great artist. Wow. Taylor Swift is a distraction from the world crumbling around us. Well, it's not working. It's not working too well. Does anybody feel sufficiently distracted by Taylor Swift? Come on, dude. That's so psychotic, bro. Like, she's a pop singer. It's literally like, it's meant to appeal broadly to people. Like, that's the point. That's what pop is. Popular, you know? I just feel like every you know what it is that right-wing people, they don't have like anybody that makes good shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no like super ultra conservative. I guess Clint Eastwood is like the most like prominent one, but I also feel like the reason why people like Clint Eastwood is, a lot of the times it's the reason why I don't like him. It's just like this weird, like, self-aggrandizing kind of like machismo bullshit that I think is really boring, So, remember when he talked to the empty chair, the Obama, at the Republican National Convention? Was that in 2012, I believe? And he talked to the empty chair, and everybody was like, wow, the Republican Party is fucking crazy. What is even happening? Why is this guy talking to an empty chair? And like, it was not insane in the sense of like, oh, like nobody understood the bit that he was doing. Like, everybody got the bit. It was just stupid and dumb and weird, and it didn't go over super well. But it was just, everybody was like, that's crazy. And then the next 10 years happened. And now here we are. There's people writing reviews that that Taylor Swift is post Madonna, post Obama mind control. It's like that. say that 10 times fast. Post Madonna, post Obama mind control. I don't know. I feel like one of the things that is just so interesting about these sorts of people, like this guy that wrote this review of Taylor Swift's movie, and has clearly he's just really like ran with some sort of very flimsy aspects of it. I just think that it's so interesting that it just seems like how do these people take every single thing as like an assault on them? I'm like, and like, these are the people who like call other people snowflakes and shit. But then this guy is gonna write this like, review about how Taylor Swift has like destroyed some sort of like cultural, she represents this sort of hollow culture of America at this point. And I don't know, man. It just seems like a depressing way to live to me. Like, this guy clearly didn't want to go to the Taylor Swift movie. Just go to a different movie, man. Just review a different movie. You know what? You know what I did when Taylor Swift's movie came out and I didn't want to see it? I didn't go. I just didn't go. It's like, dude, I guess he would say it's his job, but who is this helping? It's not helping anybody. I feel like nobody read this and was like, oh, this changes everything that I thought. This is only confirming what the people who read the National Review believe, I guess. But let's move on. Let's move on to something slightly funnier, but a little stranger, actually. A little weirder. The headline here is Bay Area Ritz-Carlton sued after woman was allegedly served semen-contaminated water. It's not funny completely, because obviously serving somebody water with semen in it is fucked up. Like, I don't want to say, I don't want it to seem as if I'm making light of this for the wrong reasons, we'll say. But I think that this article kind of, it brings up, I left me with more questions than it answered. We'll just say that. Basically, the idea is, and these people in this lawsuit are unnamed. So in the lawsuit, they're Jane and John Doe of Washington State. They're unnamed because they said that they wanted to avoid harassment, injury, ridicule, and personal embarrassment, which makes a lot of sense because I am talking about this right now on a podcast. So, to be fair, they are right about that. I probably wouldn't have said their names, maybe, if I would have thought of it. So, either way, Jane and John Doe, they're suing an $800 a night resort, the Ritz-Carlton in Half Moon Bay, because basically what happened is that these people called the front desk and they said, hey, we're out of water. Could we get some more water? And the people brought them the water, and they said they got the waters and there didn't seem to be anything wrong with any of the waters. And so they put them down, put them away, whatever. And then this lady went to get a drink in the middle of the night, and she said she drank out of the bottle of water that has the Ritz-Carlton hotel brand and that there was something in it. And then she said that they called the front desk, and she started to, she started to suspect that there was something wrong with the water, and that one way or another, they're saying that there was cum in the water bottle. And what these people are alleging is that somebody came in the water bottle and then brought it to the room for them. And they have been having trouble getting the water bottle from the Ritz-Carlton, so they're trying to get it. They're trying to get this water bottle with cum in that somebody came in, and they can't. The hotel, because I assume the hotel threw away the water bottle. I understand that it's a crime and that, it's fucked up what happened. But, if I worked at a hotel and a lady came to me, and it says that she drank the semen-contaminated water before she realized it had been defiled by a criminal deviant and that she had been sexually assaulted. And so she drank it. I don't know if she drank all of it or what it is, but they said that it was confirmed on January 12th, 2023, that a claim adjuster told the couple over the phone that the water was defiled with semen. So it seems like they figured it out that it was semen, but they won't. So maybe they have the water bottle and they won't turn it over, which is fucked up. But also, I feel like, how did they test it if she drank it? You know? It's all very confusing. It's like some CIS shit. Really. Because the pair said they want law enforcement to do their own analysis and have DNA samples from the semen to be cross-referenced. They also want Marriott International and Ritz-Carlton's hiring practices to be scrutinized. See, this is the thing, is like, this is always what happens, I feel like, with these lawsuits. And I'm so guilty of this, because I think it was my girlfriend Ginny who taught me or told me about the McDonald's lawsuit that, like, they didn't fucking, that everybody talks about, where somebody sued McDonald's because they spilt coffee on themselves and the coffee was hot or whatever. And, like, people always reference it as, like, an example of, like, a frivolous lawsuit that, was wrong for one reason or another, because this lady, you didn't expect the coffee to be hot, that kind of shit. But actually, in real life, like, there was this huge amount of negligence by the people at this McDonald's. Like, the coffee was, like, fucking insanely hot, like, hotter than it should ever be, like, way, like, so hot that it, like, makes it, like, dangerous to serve to people, and they, like, gave it to her with the, like, the lid fucking cracked off or, like, some shit like that, I don't remember the specifics, but I remember it being, like, and she had, like, 3rd-degree burns or something, like 2nd-degree burns, like, serious burns from this coffee. And, it's like, okay, yeah, that's not like the frivolous shit that everybody made it out to be. And then it's like, like, obviously what drew me to this is that I see the headline that this lady is suing them for this semen contaminated water. Is just a funny phrase, that's funny. But then you, like, look into it and it's like, oh man, like, maybe they didn't properly screen these people that they hired, because I feel like to a certain extent there's, like, probably certain aspects of, like, hospitality that maybe you wouldn't want, people with certain crimes in their background to work in, I think that there's, fair things to be made about that. Now, like, obviously, like, I don't think that, it's right to punish somebody, like, after they've served their time in ways that are, like, unfair, but it's like the obvious shit. Like, you don't want a kid or like, a child molester to be a teacher. Like, that's not good. That's not a good idea. You don't want somebody who's, assaulted people to be, the person with a key to everybody's room in a hotel or something like that. And so, but I don't know how you stop somebody from coming in the water bottles. That seems tough. Honestly, because it's like, who did it? Like, where did it happen? Was it somebody in the water bottle factory, perhaps? Was it a Marriott employee? Who's to say? It's tough. It's tough to, like, figure that kind of shit out. Where did they go? There was, there's not, like, a chain of custody for this fucking water bottle. Like, so I guess it must have been, like, somebody in there. But then I feel like they had to have done it in other ones or something. That doesn't seem like a ugh, it's gross. It's fucking gross, honestly. Anyways, I hope that there is some sort of resolution. They're taking it to like a jury trial. So this is legit. I mean, like, these people clearly think that they have like a lot of evidence, and it sounds fucked up. I feel like I doubt that they have the water bottle still. Cause I was just gonna say, I'm like, if I'm a guy who works at a hotel and somebody is like, there was something in this water bottle, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, here, I'll take it. Like, let me get you a fresh water bottle. And then I would get rid of that water bottle. And so it's like, it's got to be in a landfill or something. Unless they kept it. It sounds like they called the police, but it didn't seem like they called the police like right then. Because it's like this lady didn't know. So, odd. I will follow up on the jizz water bottle lawsuit. How fun. Gross, man. Well, there's been a lot going on in the world. And, when there's a lot going on, I feel like everybody always, looks to celebrities for what they should think. I don't know. It's been weird, man. There's been a lot of weird shit. People have been saying wild stuff on the internet ever since the Israel Hamas shit has been going down. The attacks by Hamas on the 7th. And then all the shit after that. It's just like, it's fucked up. Like, obviously, I'm not a fucking expert. Like, I'm not going to say too much about it. But what blows my mind is when celebrities then are like all these people suddenly decide that they're like, okay, this is where I need to make my voice heard. And they're like, Sarah Silverman literally like posted in support of Israel cutting off Gaza's water and electricity supply. And it's like, dude, that, you did blackface. Like, come on. Like, be serious. Like, do you ever think that you would be like that this is a good sort of like arena for you to like step foot in? And here's the thing. I respect Sarah Silverman a lot as a comedian. You know what I mean? For better, for worse. Like, I don't necessarily like know all of her work or whatever, and I know enough of it to, and I've like listened to enough of her shit that I know that I think that she's a good comedian and stuff. But dude, it's I just feel like people like this, they become so out of touch with everything and who they are and their relation to society. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of these people are the kinds of people who say that shit where they're like, comedians are the new philosophers or whatever. And it's like, shut the fuck up, dude. That's the dumbest shit. Like this sort of, like attitude that, comedians are, or like comedy is like this, like more high-minded shit than it is. And it's like, no, dude, you're telling drunk people jokes to make them laugh. It's not, you don't have to be fucking smart. Like, it does, I don't think that I don't think that Sarah Silverman is stupid, but what I'm saying is, like, I think that Sarah Silverman doesn't, it's just like, and not just Sarah Silverman, just to be clear. I'm not trying to like just single her out, but like, you know, I think that a lot of these people get this really overinflated sense of, you know, how smart they are just because they've been successful. And, you know, it leads them to fucking post shit like that maybe it's okay to cut off these people's water and electricity because, you know, some people that are from the same fucking place that they're from did some shit that they had nothing to do with. It's like, you know, come on. It's simple. Like it's really simple to me. I understand that what happened was fucked up, and like, you know, I don't think that there's any, as much as I would love for what to happen is like not violence. I just think that like there was never any chance that something like that happened, like what Hamas did, and there not to be an incredibly violent response. That is literally the status quo of this, you know, conflict. It's the whole thing. It's literally the entire history is like, you know, this sort of immeasurable response to something that is like so devastating, and it just perpetuates itself. It's a self-perpetuating thing at this point. I mean, you know, and it's terrible because those people who were kidnapped from Israel, they don't, you know, like a lot of them are just innocent people. And the same thing with all of the people in Gaza that Israel kills. And, you know, I think that like it just is, it's sad to see somebody like Sarah Silverman post something that basically, you know, is being like, well, you know, maybe we should cut off Gaza's water and electricity. And it's like, dude, you know, that's wild. Like, you'd be like, okay, well, you know, this terrorist group took all these hostages, and our response will then be to, you know, make a bunch of children die of thirst. That's what it is. I mean, that's what she's saying. That's crazy. Like, why are you, a comedian, feeling like you have the sort of, you know, understanding to weigh in on a situation like that in favor of because here's the difference. I think that if you are weighing in and saying, hey, you know, I don't think that it's good to cut off the water supply or the electricity supply to an entire, you know, region, millions of people, and, you know, kill, you know, who knows how many by doing that. Really, that's what it is. It would kill a bunch of people. Why are you as a comedian feeling like that's something that you should weigh in on, you know? And if you're doing it, I feel like if you're saying that's fucked up, it's like if you're advocating for, whoa, slow down, you know, that's like, that's okay, because you're saying, I don't think that killing more people is the best way forward, you know? I feel like that's an important distinction to make, and that's why it's okay to judge Sarah Silverman more so than somebody who I feel like is speaking out in favor of not killing children, you know? And so I don't know, dude. It blows my mind, though, that so many people are like, in like, especially so quickly, Like tensions were running so high. I got like I went on Amy Schumer's Instagram because I saw something on Reddit. Somebody had shared a screenshot of Amy Schumer's post, and it was something about like, you know, how schools, like colleges, are being taken over by Arab donors. It was insane. It was like, you know, first of all, if you want to look at you know, instances of censorship on college campuses, go look at anybody who has ever spoken out as, you know, pro-Palestinian as a professor on you know, many college campuses. These people get like, you know, fired and kicked out of the country or whatever for like, you know, just saying like, hey, I think that, you know, what Israel is doing to Palestinian people is fucked up. Like, and they get lied about. Barry Weiss, of you know, Joe Rogan's pal, Barry Weiss. She like cut her teeth. That's how she. That's in college. She was like, she was part of this sort of student group that opposed these professors that were allegedly, you know, you know, anti-Semitic, pro-Palestinian, but they were caught like reporting, you know, completely false things that these professors had said and stuff. And like people were coming into these professors' classrooms, like kids were telling these professors, you know, that folks outside of class had you know, talked to them about telling them what their professors were saying in class and shit, and like trying to get them to say that their professors like said certain stuff, you know. So if you want to like talk about like censorship or whatever, you know, I would point you to that as like a prime example of what nobody ever brings up when they talk about like censorship on college campuses. It's all that somehow these conservative students aren't able to share their perspectives or whatever. You know, not really the case, as it turns out. But I don't know. How did we even get into this? It just is, you know, I just feel so like discouraged by the discourse on the entire thing. Honestly, I really have. It just is like, I feel like it's the only thing that this entire situation has proved to me is that, you know, we're just doomed to repeat history again and again. It's never going to end. I mean, look, like already you have people that are basically, you know, how do I put this? Obviously what Hamas did was terrible. It was awful. It's bad. They're, you know, I find it strange that so many people, especially like people on the left, will do this thing, and I don't know if it's just to like be edgy or like what. Where they'll be like, you know, like they will refuse to say that like, or like to criticize Hamas in any way. To criticize Hamas is like somehow being, you know, against you know, Palestinian liberation or whatever, and it's like that's wild. I mean, literally, if you know anything about Hamas, like it's you know, there's a history of Israel, you know, funding Hamas and like doing things to like help them, you know, grow. I mean, there's a gentleman, Anver Cohen, I believe is his name. He was a like a religious minister of some kind for Israel, the Israeli government. And he wrote a memo in like this, I think it was like the 70s or the 80s, that was basically saying like, hey, we gotta stop funding Hamas. Because Israel in Gaza, I believe it was in the 70s or the 80s. I don't remember for sure. They were they were giving them money because they wanted to undermine the Palestinian Authority in the area. And to do that, they perceived Hamas, which was this religious fundamentalist group that that they perceived them as the best way to do that in Gaza. And that's what they did. It's not, criticizing Hamas is criticizing Israel in a lot of ways. There is, the support for Hamas that exists in Gaza could not exist without, the actions that Israel has taken in the blockade of Gaza. It plays perfectly into Hamas's hands. It's like, I feel like it's one of those things where I understand the hesitancy to point at this group or to not point at this group and say that they're like the main number one problem. I think that the main number one thing that is preventing this conflict from resolving in some peaceful way is primarily the actions of the Israeli government. I want to also be clear that I don't, that's not like an indictment of all Israeli people too. Like, obviously, they're just like us. Like, they don't have control over their system any more than we do, and so it's like you have to remember in these situations, I think there's like this, because obviously the stuff that's happening to all of these people is awful and everyone is so upset, of course, but it's just important to remember that there are like so many people in Palestine and so many people in Israel who don't have any say really in what's happening. And that's in a lot of ways part of the problem. I think that if everybody actually did have a voice, the majority of people want peace. Nobody wants war. No regular person wants conflict. If you ask everybody if they could choose, like for this to stop tomorrow, they would say yes. The problem is that there are people in positions on both sides who happen to have a lot of the cards in being able to resolve that, and they don't want it to end. So, I just wish celebrities would shut the fuck up about it. I think that they always do nothing but sort of muddy the waters and act as mouthpieces for, some less than savory interests. And, think before you share, man. Read a couple fucking books. Jesus Christ, Sarah Silverman, Amy Schumer, The Rock, probably. I don't know. I'll just accuse anybody. Well, hopefully I didn't just ruin any chance I have at a career in anything. That's the end. That's the end of the podcast, guys. Thanks for listening. Again, I'm going to be headlining next Tuesday at Hillsiders in KCK. And then the next night, November 8th, Wednesday at The Ship in Kansas City. other than that, I love you. Send anything at all to jaken.off.podcast@gmail.com and follow us at jaken.off.podcast. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.